What's up? What's up? I'm coming at you with 10, count them, 10 tips for your container gardens. Don't mind the hair, it is wash day and it's air drying right now. Tip number 1, use the appropriate size container. Now, for example, if you're going to be growing a indeterminate tomato, it would be a fool's errand to put that in a 1-gallon grow bag, say, because that plant is going to need so much more space for its roots to get out. I mean, at the very least, you'd want to use a 5-gallon bucket. If you don't do that, then you're not going to see the best that plant can give you. It won't thrive, and it'll probably be pretty stunted as well. So use the appropriate size container. Consider what size this plant is going to be in the end. Tip number 2, mulch your containers. Now this year, this was a game changer for me. In the past, I had never mulched my garden or even my container gardens, and that was a huge mistake. I did that this year. The mulch cost me, $2.50 a bag, and I put on, I believe, about 2 to 3 inches of shredded wood mulch, and 2 positive things happened because of that. The first being that I don't have to water as often as I used to, so I'm not running into problems with my plants dying on me because they dried out in the heat of the summer. The mulch helps the soil retain its moisture very well, and it's well worth it just for that reason alone. Now, the second positive thing that happened is I don't have any diseases or any problems that you would normally get with splashback from the soil. I don't have any yellowing leaves. Everything is nice and healthy. I do have some curling leaves, but nothing that is associated with any splashback or any soil-borne diseases. So definitely, if you're going to do anything, mulch your containers. You'll thank me. Trust me on this. Tip number 3, label everything. Believe you me, you are not going to remember what all you planted and where you planted it. Every year I tell myself, oh, I have such a small container garden, I'm going to remember. No, I don't. And besides that, when you take notes, you can always go back and look at what you've done, figure out what worked, what didn't work, and use it as a tool, basically a really helpful resource in your upcoming growing seasons. So definitely label everything, and additionally take notes. Tip number 4, hand pollinate if you don't see any bees. Now this was another new one for me. I had posted in one of the Facebook groups that I belong to that I was having this really big cucumber plant. It was green, it was healthy, it was flowering, but nothing was happening. And someone suggested that I start hand pollinating. Well, I did. Lo and behold, I now have 3 fruit on my cucumber plant, and this is the first time in all the years I've been gardening that I've gotten this far on a cucumber plant. So do try hand pollinating. You never know. You never know. It worked for me. Tip number 5, always have extra soil on standby. And I say this because I have found that at some point I need to top off some containers, or I end up getting a new container that I need to fill. In either case, I always need more soil than I end up buying in the beginning. So just do yourself a favor. Instead of having to make several trips, just buy extra. Have extra soil on hand. You never know what you'll need it for. Tip number 6, succession plant. You don't need to plant everything all at one time because you can't eat it all at once anyways. You'll just wind up overwhelming yourself. So go ahead, plant a little bit, wait a couple weeks, plant some more, and that's what they call succession planting. This is especially helpful when you're working with things like herbs, and that way you can have a continuous supply of them throughout the whole season. Tip number 7, don't fight Mother Nature. Plant everything in its right season. Unless, of course, you have the means to provide adequate light and control the environmental factors. Just trust me on this. Plant it in the right season. Otherwise, you'll just be setting yourself up for failure pretty much. Tip number 8, study before you plant. And I just mean do your research. Before you put everything in the ground, know what you're doing. I'm not saying that you have to be an expert, but you should probably know the basics of what you're doing before you go and throw things in the ground. By having that basic knowledge, you are giving yourself a better chance at having a successful harvest later down the road. Unless you're experimenting, in which case that can be learning in itself. But for the most part, do your research. Study before you plant. Tip number 9. There is such a thing as overwatering, over-fertilizing, and over-tending. Okay, you can't be a helicopter mom to your plants too, alright? It doesn't work with the kids usually, and it probably won't happen with your green plants either, okay? My advice in this instance would be to just listen to your plant. Plants give you signs when they're under duress. You'll see things like yellowing leaves or curling leaves or indications in the fruits such as like blossom end rot on tomatoes. So watch your plants, pay attention, and don't be a helicopter mom to your green babies. And we're at the end. My final tip, number 10, is don't give up. Seriously, don't give up. Any gardener will tell you that every season you will have successes and you will have failures. Gardening is a learning experience because no 2 gardening seasons are the same. And so you could be a master gardener and still be learning something new. So allow yourself to make mistakes, go ahead and learn from them, and then apply them next time. But don't give up. Case in point, in all the years that I've been gardening, I have never successfully grown not a one cucumber. And I have planted cucumbers, I would say, at least a dozen times. Well, here we are in 2020, and I now have my first 3 almost ready to pick cucumbers. It's amazing. It's taken, I couldn't tell you how many years. I mean, easily 15, probably 20 years. And I would continue trying to grow them every other year. Never have any success. Never worked out. And this year, I got it. So don't give up. It's probably the thing I'm most proud of right now. And I know it's just a cucumber, but it took me a long time to get here. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want to miss out on this feeling. Trust me. Don't give up. Keep gardening. Until next time.